Hello everyone, my name is Jacob Mrugalski and I want to show you how you can prepare your VPS server to run LAMP stack on it. What is LAMP? LAMP is just a Linux, Apache, MySQL and PHP. So this is default configuration that you usually use for running your blog or any website. So we will try to install everything that we need, every software that we need on really small VPS server. I will show you how small server I choose. I execute 3-m to show memory on my server. As you can see, my server have exactly 32 megabytes of RAM and 16 megabytes of swap. This is OpenVZ, so this is virtual swap, of course. And my server use exactly 2 megabytes of RAM now. I have to list what is running on my server now. As you can see, there is nearly nothing installed on it. I just run default software like syslog software, SSHD is a daemon for SSH connection. To start working with any server, first of all, you have to update packages that you have on your system. So I use apt-get and update command. Just hit enter. It's really fast connection, so it should be just immediately. Now it's building. So not so immediately, but we can wait. After it finish, you have to run upgrade procedure. The same tool and upgrade. Hit enter, wait a few seconds. Nothing happened. That means we have the fresh system. It's fresh installation of Debian, so there is nothing that we can upgrade. Okay, we are ready to start installing what we want. What do we want exactly? I already tell you that we will install something, so there is install parameter. We need Apache, and in Debian it's called Apache 2 because it's second version of Apache. Then what we need? We need MySQL, but we need MySQL server and client. So MySQL server and MySQL client, and of course we need PHP. Again, strange package name is PHP 5. We hit enter. And you will see something. Look at this. By default, if you select to install PHP 5, Apache will run as a pre-fork. You have two options by the default. You can choose pre-fork or worker. If you want to play with PHP, you should select pre-fork. If you want to just serve static files like some images or to run download, anything else, you can choose worker. Worker will take less memory, but for PHP, pre-fork is just a preferred configuration. Okay, one more thing, Debian take care of this. lib Apache 2 mod PHP 5. This is module for Apache to run PHP code. If you will not install this software, your PHP code will be displayed just like a text file in your browser and not executed. So it's really important. Okay, and what we can see, MySQL will be installed with the version 5.5. So there is everything we need to start working with the LAMP stack. Everything that I need to do now is just hit enter. So go on. Packages are being installed. We need to choose MySQL root password. So I can type anything I want. Okay, again the same. As you can see, there is no stars, there is nothing displayed on the screen. You just typing and just believe me, it's working. So just hit enter. Now MySQL is configured correctly. Okay. It's not able to set MySQL password. Why? Because MySQL just die immediately after running it. But don't worry, we can fix it. Hit trying one more time to start MySQL. Trying, it will die, so it doesn't matter. Yes, it's failed. And we're installing everything else, so this is Apache modules. Okay. We're waiting a few more seconds. Okay. Now we can check how much memory we take. So now it's 9 megabytes. We see what is going on our server. So there is Apache running here. That's completely fine, but we don't have MySQL. Why we don't have MySQL? Because there is problem with memory. MySQL by default use some engine called AnnoDB storage engine. It's really great engine. It's fast, stable, secure, everything is fine. But there is one catch. It takes a lot of memory. So you cannot use it on so small server like this. We have to use some editor, just a Vim, and open this file, MySQL configuration file. Okay, and what we have to change? First of all, we need to turn off AnnoDB engine. It's easy, just skip AnnoDB. That could be fine, but we're working with MySQL version 5.5. In this version, AnnoDB is a default storage engine. So MySQL, when you run it, will disable this engine, but try to use it as a default one. So it's not so smart. We need to change our default storage engine and set up it to use MyISAM. MyISAM is not so great, but it's enough for running blog and small web service. So it's completely fine. I just saving this and restarting MySQL just in this way. And now it should be fine. Okay. The same, we checking what is running. MySQL is running. We can try to enter MySQL. As you can see, my password is not working correctly because it don't set up my password. What we can do with this? Just run MySQL without any password. Enter. Ta-da! We are in MySQL database as a root. We have to change password for the root, so we start using MySQL database, and there is table called user, and we need to update password for the root user. How we can do this? Update user set password is equal password. Password is a function in MySQL that will make a hash of your password. So I will set up password as ABC123, okay, where user is equal root. Enter, and flash privileges that will flash everything that it have in the cache and just load every privileges again from this table. So enter, and I can log out. Now I can try to enter MySQL with no password. It's not working because now we have a password. So -p and ABC123, enter. It's working. So we have working copy of MySQL. Now we have to check if our Apache and PHP is working fine. To do this, go to war /. Okay, there is index HTML, we can remove it, and we can create index.php. How to check if PHP is working fine? We can just put some example code like this. 2 + 2, it should execute. It's here. It displayed 4, but we need to check if our code is executed through Apache. I use netstat to check if Apache is running correctly. Yes, it's running on port 80, and this is Apache 2, so I have to use some software to check if Apache is working fine. I can install like curl or anything else, but we can use wget. Wget http, okay, our local IP address, okay, and we save output to the minus. Minus mean console. Hit enter. And where is it? There is number 4. Okay, you will not believe me, so I will save it into out.txt. Okay, now open out.txt, and there is number 4. I don't cheat, it's really working. Okay, so we have running Apache, MySQL and PHP. So everything is working fine. We can come back to our console and see how much memory we consume now. Okay, this command. It uses 7 megabytes of memory and 13 megabytes is in swap. Not so much, but check what is running. You can see there is multiple Apache. There is Apache threads. Every Apache thread gets some memory. You can just set up how many this child processes you want just by editing one file. Okay, it's an Apache 2 and it's called apache2.conf. We have to turn on syntax on. Now it's much better because we see what is the command and what is the directive, and we have to look for prefork. Okay, this is prefork configuration. How much servers you want to start at the beginning? The servers is a child processes, so we want to start 2 of them, and there is a minimum number of spare servers waiting for the commands and maximum spare servers. We can set up everything for 2. It's not optimal, but it will save your memory. And there is max request per child. You have to understand how it's work, because the child process will take some request. Every request make a trash in memory, and your child is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it will never die because the maximum request per child is set to 0. So after few days your child process will be really huge. So we have to change it to something smaller. For example, 100. 100 mean that every child after getting 100 hits will die and reborn again. Okay, so this server is fine, and max clients we can set up it to, for example, 40, because it will be server for hosting your small blog. So this is enough configuration, I think. I will save it and restart Apache, and I will check what's going on. As you can see now, there is only 2 Apache servers here. It will serve less clients, but also consume less memory. So it will save memory for something more important. Remember also that your PHP will also consume some memory. So we have to change PHP configuration. So I open this. There is in Apache and PHP in the file. Okay, and there is memory configuration. We cannot support 128 megabytes if our server together have less than 50 megabytes. So change it to something more useful, like 10 megabytes. Yeah, that should be enough. We have to restart Apache again. Yes, it's strange, but PHP is running as a module in Apache. So if you change configuration of PHP, you have to restart Apache. Okay. Okay. Now it's much better. There is one more thing that you need to know about MySQL. If you will try to restart MySQL just by the standard procedure, it will not work correctly. MySQL don't stop and don't start again, it's just broken. Why it's broken? Because you remember that your root password was not set up correctly because MySQL was broken. So Debian used some Debian maintenance account for restarting MySQL. This account setup is kept here. in debian.cnf. Okay, this is the name of Debian user and this is the password, but this user doesn't exist, so we have to create it. To create this user, we have to connect to MySQL with our password abc123, enter, and grant privileges to this user. We have to grant all privileges because we want to manipulate with MySQL. So grant all privileges on start.star. Start is a wildcard. That means we giving privileges for all database dot all table names to. Now we have to specify username at. We have to specify server wildcard. So from any server, identify by, and now password. I just copy and paste, hit enter, it's correct. And what we can do now? Flush privileges, of course. Hit enter, log out, and now I can try to restart. Enter. Perfect, it's working. So you fixed now MySQL. Checking if everything works fine. Yes, MySQL is running. Is MySQL safe? Of course. Apache with 2 processes. Okay, running Apache on such small server is not a good idea. The better idea is to run Nginx, Lite, or anything else, and running PHP as a module for Apache is also a bad idea because every possible request will consume more memory because this module for PHP is loaded for every request. Doesn't matter if you hit PHP file or JavaScript or CSS or anything else, it will load your PHP module. Of course, you can decrease memory consumed by Apache by turning off some extra modules because you don't use everything. You can go to etc Apache mods enabled and list it. This is a list of modules that it's loaded here, so you don't need everything for it. If you don't use server status page, you can remove status.conf and status.load. If you don't use CGI on your server, remove it. You can just read on Google what these modules are for and remove these files from this directory, restart Apache again, and that's all. Your size of your Apache process will decrease. So it's really easy. Just last checking, everything is fine. You can just try to install some additional software. If you want to run on this server something like WordPress because you want to run your blog, I recommend you to install Memcached software on it because you can cache something on the Memcached software. So you will need apt-get install Memcached and PHP 5 Memcached. Okay, hit enter and enter again, and after this command you will have just additional software that is useful for speed up your WordPress process. If you are using Memcached daemon, first you have to configure it. So etc memcached conf and just one parameter, this one, -m64. That means by default this daemon will consume 64 megabytes of memory, but you don't have it. So change it to something smaller, like 1 or 2 megabytes. 1 megabyte for your small blog should be enough. So just restart your Memcached. Okay, and check. Okay, we specified that we need only 1 megabyte for our Memcache and it consumes 1.5. Okay, and if you will run WordPress blog on your VPS server, try to use some caching software like WP Super Cache or Total Cache or anything else. It will save your memory, it will save your CPU power, it will save just everything. So start using caching software. That's all that I prepared today for you. Thank you for watching and please subscribe. Thank you. Bye.